diarrhea and throwing up and sick stomach. Honey, the hot weather out there in the west is so dry and so hot that the little children would get sick. And you know how her baby lived, the baby one? An Indian lady helped her. When my grandmother lived, they moved out there and they had a house that Grandpa had made a door, like a Dutch door, and half the door would open, and the Indians called her the broken door lady.
The broken door lady.
The door wasn't broken at all. It was made the right way. The top half would open, and you'd leave the bottom shut so the chickens and the pigs couldn't come in. So she had chickens and pigs and things back then. And the reason that her baby lived, she had gone out one morning and couldn't find her cow. And so she got on the horse and she went out hunting her milk cow because the cow had gotten away. And she rode on and on and on, and finally she saw an Indian boy. He was unconscious. His horse had been bitten by a rattlesnake, and it had fallen on the little boy, and his legs were crushed. And she took her horse and pulled the dead horse off the Indian boy, and she took some little sticks and made what they call a travis. It goes behind the horse, and she fastened it up behind her horse and took a blanket off of her horse and put it and tied him onto that, and he was unconscious. And he woke up and he was scared to death because she was a white lady, and they were just as scared of the white ladies as we were of the Indians. You realize that, but they were scared of us. She knew where the Indian camp was, and she turned and went and to carry the boy to his family. And when she was riding up on her horse, the Indian men all came out on their horses to see what was coming. And they walked in with her to their camp. It was getting late in the afternoon. And she knew she couldn't get home. She had to spend the night with the Indians. And when she went home, she got home. The next morning she was going home, and the Indians man said, "We'll go with you." So some of them went with him. But Grandfather and all the men from the town and all out on their horses hunting her. Of course, you know, it was a missing lady. She was gone. He came home, he couldn't find his wife, and he figured the Indians had her. And so...
Is it on video, Mom?
I want to get the story, okay?
Okay, anyway, I forgot where I was.
He brought...
Oh, Grandfather was coming out with all the men, and so Grandmother told the Indian man that could speak a little bit of English, she said, "You better stay here, let me ride on, and I'll tell them, because they might come shooting. You know, they might think, ooh, they kidnapped her." And so she rode a little bit ahead of them, and she put her hand up and waved. And when she got there, she told them that I spent the night with the Indians because I found a little Indian boy. He was about 12 years old, and both his legs were broken. And she didn't think anything more about it. She didn't hear anything from them. You know, they didn't visit. The Indians would come and drink water and feed the horses water at her spring down in front of her house. And so that was the group of people that the little boy belonged to. And they weren't afraid of her, but the boy didn't know her. He was really scared of her. But when they got there, eventually, before long, my grandmother got pregnant another time. And she'd already lost those 4 babies. Just with summer sickness. It would happen in the summer when it was hot. And they were all small. The oldest one of them was 3. A little girl named Charlotte. She died. Just couldn't stand the heat. Anyway, grandmother had this little baby. She named her Nona. And Nona got sick. Same way the other children had been sick. You know how bad that would hurt your heart. She knew she'd already buried 4 babies. And here's another little one. And she was maybe 3 months old, a little tiny thing in her arms. And the Indians came up to drink, and all the neighbors had come over to sit with the family because the baby was dying. The doctor had said it would die. And then when the Indians left and little father came back, 3 women came. An older woman and 2 younger women. And they came in. Wait a minute, let me finish. When they came in, the older lady walked over and she took grandmother, she did like this, give her the baby. And grandmother handed her the baby, and she had a little bag, a little leather, grandmother said, nasty looking little old stringy bag. And she pulled it open and did like this, stuck her finger in it, got something in her finger, stuck it in the baby's mouth. She went over squatted down on the fireplace and held the baby. And the other 2 women squatted down with her. And they stayed all night, all the next day, next night, and the morning after that, she kept good at it, stick her finger in there, put a little more medicine in the baby's mouth. And the morning of the 3rd morning, that baby was just cooing and won't eat. She'd say that lady's life. And so grandmother was trying, and she couldn't express it to her because she spoke Indian, and grandmother could only speak American. And the man that could talk a little bit of English, he came up. He said, "That's the mama of the little boy you saved. You saved her baby. She saved yours, brought yours back to me." Did you like that story?
Yeah.
It's a real one. That's not made up.
Was that your aunt?
That was my grandmother.
No, that was your grandmother's, the baby.
No, my aunt, the baby.
The baby was your aunt.
My aunt Nona.
And was that your mother's sister
No,
or your
that's
brother,
my
your dad's?
My dad's. That really happened.
Grandma, may we see some
They
pictures?
either called my grandmother yellow hair, because her hair was real blonde. It wasn't just goldy blonde, but it was blonde hair. They either called her yellow hair or the broken door lady. So she had some special names.